So explain questions are actually really simple. They're quite nice and easy to divide up. They're the sorts of questions you've been practicing to do since you were in year 7. The point evidence explain link structure should be something that you can do quite easily by this point. Largely the biggest problem that people have is that they don't select an appropriate piece of evidence to explain the point that they want to explain. Or they don't make it clear why they're saying what they're saying and how it actually answers the question. You need to make sure that you use high-level terms and data. You need to make sure you pay attention to the words how and why. And most often, in an explain question or a question of 4 marks or more, the examiner is looking for you to use some sort of case study. Selecting an appropriate case study would be fine. Ben?
If it's got a figure as well,
yeah.
Can you use figure and case study?
If it tells you use figure whatever, you must use the figure.
Can you use case study as well though?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
They want you to use the case study. One of the things that the chief examiner gets annoyed about is the fact that people don't take the opportunity to use case studies as often as they probably should. Will?
What if on the question you're answering, the only case study you know that you can apply to that question is used as a figure of the question?
You are more than welcome to. You should be able to add something, but you should use the figure as well. There should be something more that you know than would be in the figure that they've given. The example you're thinking of is the St. Lucia one. Explain the damaging effects. Explain how the damaging effects of earthquakes can be reduced. The command word there is to explain. You need to focus on how. It's a 6-mark question, which means you need 2 things that can reduce the effects of earthquakes. You have learnt about the Japan earthquake in 2011 and the tsunami. You can talk about 2 things that they did. So you'd say this is one thing that they did, this is what it was, and this is how it reduced the impact of that earthquake. And then you do a second one. It doesn't directly ask you to say a specific case study. They can do, but your answer would benefit from you using a named location.
If you don't, will you get less marks?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so this is kind of the classic way that they'll mark the work that you've done. You don't just get a tick for everything that you do well. They'll take your overall response and they'll put it into the category, in this case, of basic or clear. Sometimes they'll add a detailed section at the end. It can come in a 6-mark question, but it'll largely be in an 8-mark question where they ask you to do something really specific and ask you to give quite a lot of information. First thing that I'd like you to do, have a read through what you've done, and I'd like you to identify by circling any of the bits of specific information or key terms that you've actively tried to include.